Anyway, this is the first episode of Secret Squirrel Stuff with Arkheim. Welcome everyone, and I'll explain a little bit why I call it that and what because in clandestine operations, it's kind of a euphemism, like a thing where like if somebody else in the programs or in an agency that you're working for asks you what you were doing and you can't really say because it's classified, so you just say, "Oh, secret squirrel stuff." So information that doesn't exist technically, people doing things that creating events that never happened, stuff like that. And I thought Nate would make a really good first guest because Nate has a connection to like Marvel comics, DC comics, like an understanding of that. Nate Gray is a character in that realm, which I'll be honest, I'm not as familiar with the comics. It's kind of funny. Growing up and most of my life, I never was really into like comic books and stuff like that because I didn't think it was realistic, and I need to think something is realistic in order to enjoy that. And I think it's really funny because now I know what I know. Like I was in the programs and the stuff that's based on reality. So it's kind of funny that I had this idea in my head that I couldn't really enjoy it because it didn't seem realistic to me. But yeah, so that's I guess maybe a little bit what we're here to just kind of understand, and also just to learn a little bit about you. I know you're an alternative journalist. You have your outlet YPX News, which you've done an interview with me and a lot of other people as well. And yeah, why don't you just kind of introduce yourself and tell people what you're all about, Nate?
I'm Nate Gray. I run YPX News. My YouTube channel and Rumble is Nate YPX Gray. I also run supersoldierforum.com, and thank you for your signed copy of your book. It's an interesting book.
My pleasure.
And yeah, I didn't read too many comic books growing up either. I was a fan of the cartoon though, but I'm a pretty big Marvel fan right now.
Yeah, I've been getting into it a little bit.
Yeah, so yeah, I got into it. I went through a stage where I forgot what I was, which was weird.
We all do.
Yeah. That happened to you as well?
Oh yeah. I knew what was going on in elementary school, and I guess like middle school, maybe even too. But it came to a point where I kind of had to just bury it. I think is what it is. You just have to bury it in order to live in the 3D world.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, the 3D world. You know what I mean? Like normal life.
yeah. Hmm. I mean, I got an example of a Marvel comic here.
What is that called? Ghost?
This one has Cable on it.
Oh, Cable. Okay.
I can pull out one with Nate Gray on it if you want me to.
Sure.
Let's see.
And you can maybe explain a little bit who Nate Gray is as a comic book character, and then how it relates to you as yourself.
Let's see. Darn it. I don't know. Maybe you could pause this out or something.
Yeah, I can pause it real quick. Hold on.
Okay, well, here we got the X-Men edition, -1. This depicts me at the age that I was at the time as a kid. They didn't add the white spot in yet, which I don't have. I never had the white spot on my hair, but I thought it would look cool because Rogue was one of my favorite characters, and I wanted the artist to design the character with the white spot that Rogue had in her hair. which makes the character easier to find in the Marvel movies in the background. There are a few cameos with Nate Gray in it. I think I went over some of this stuff in my presentation at the Disclosure Conference.
You have a presentation here with you, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, Sinister is like a Joseph Mengele type character. Are you familiar with that Nazi?
Mm-hmm. Be
Apparently,
careful about saying that word.
careful saying Joseph Mengele.
The other one, YouTube censors. It's
Oh yeah, I forgot we're on YouTube. NSDAP scientist. How does that work?
sure.
Uh,
Uh,
NSDAP is the politically
I think
correct.
it's pretty okay though. I mean, that's the reality. That's what he was, and that's part of history. And I think it's okay to talk about it, but they can be a little overly strict about some stuff sometimes.
Maybe you should bleep it out.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was an addition I thought up when I was at Disneyland playing video games with Trinity. If I showed them a cover like this, would that get censored out? Huh.
I think it should be fine.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that was the whole Ubermensch series. Yeah, I'm a fan of Disturbed too.
Oh yeah, they have comics. Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of what Demons
Penny Bradley will get along with, then, right? That's one of her favorite bands.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I got these original covers from Disturbed, Dark Messiah.
I'm surprised you didn't know that about Penny.
About who?
Penny Bradley.
Penny Bradley. She's a. What did you say about Penny Bradley?
She's a fan of the band Disturbed.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know that.
Do you mind if I pull up this presentation of yours?
You can if you want to. Let's see. There's Morbius and Spider-Man. Let's see. What's his name? John Storm was actually a mutual friend of Spider-Man or Peter Parker. He's actually an African American guy. What?
Can you explain to me how these memories of knowing these people and being in these programs and how they relate to real life?
Well, Anthony Zender was trained with me. He remembers training with me, and he's a little bit like Quicksilver. He's pretty fast.
Yeah, because the people have different abilities.
Yeah.
That can complement one another or be used in different ways for programs. That's why I thought this was a really good first episode to do, is because the secret squirrel stuff, kind of the theme of it. But something that I remember that I haven't really talked about, I think I talked about it with you privately, but it's the fact that I have memory of working with JFK, the president, trying to protect him and the timeline and trying to prevent his assassination, which I obviously failed at.
Dropped the ball on that one.
Yeah, dropped the ball on that one big time, which is a bummer, obviously. It was the scar on American history in the worst way. But why I bring that up, though, is because he would read the Marvel comics and DC comics when they would come out. And he'd actually invite me in this room in the White House, and we'd smoke cigars and drink a little bit of brandy on ice and read some of these comics. And sometimes we'd laugh, and it was real inside jokes to us. A lot of the stuff that was going on in the comics, because the a lot of the characters were based on real people, including, like you said, some of the infamous bad Germans throughout history and stuff like that from World War II. So yeah, it's just kind of interesting how it all relates to the secret space programs, to the military abduction programs, and everything like that, and these weird artificial lives that we're living in now. So yeah, that's kind of why I was asking you about like how you got your memories back, and like because for me, like I'm still struggling to understand what character is maybe based on me, if there is one at all, and like there's some similarities between me and Doctor Strange, but his personality doesn't seem to match mine at all. So yeah, I just wonder. Maybe there isn't a character based on me. Who knows? But yeah, I just found the whole thing fascinating, and I just figured that you with the whole Nate Gray thing going on and everything, you'd be a great person to talk with about it.
Okay, yeah. For a while, I had Morbus's abilities. I don't know how they gave it to me. Probably something to do with blood. But I was real fast, and I had fast reflexes, and they took it away somehow. But yeah, that's actually depicted in the comics. Me with Morbus's abilities for a while, and yeah, I haven't seen Trinity in a long time. I think I pronounced it right. But yeah, I don't know if there is a character based off of you or not. Yeah, I'm not sure. Doctor Strange dates back a really long time. Um, he might predate our generation. I'm not sure. And he uses Eastern magic stuff like chi or something. I don't know. I've never encountered him. Yeah. Did you want to look at the presentation?
Yeah, let's bring it up here.
Okay. Yeah. I was born in the late '80s, and I was genetically modified with mutant DNA, which is something I learned from a NSA document that got smuggled out of NSA. The document never made it to me because the guy that smuggled it out got intercepted. Well, to explain that deeper, the guy who smuggled it out gave it to Jay Collins, and Jay Collins gave it to a transporter, and the guy transporting it got intercepted. So the guy who brought it out of NSA didn't get intercepted. And that's all I learned from Jay Collins. He stopped talking to me after the documents got intercepted. But he was an ex-Men in Black who I think was early on during the Super Soldier Summit and stuff. He was there. Yeah, he disconnected from everyone and went MIA after that happened. I don't know what happened to him. And James Casbolt went to prison or something, and Max Spears was killed. I don't know what happened to Jay Collins. But he was around during that time. And yeah, I've encountered extraterrestrials. I worked as an artist, a security officer, and a martial artist. Right now, I'm studying IT and security. I just ordered some new hacking tools that I want to learn how to use from Hack 5. And let's see, my volunteering with the Kennedy campaign is basically over now that he started the. Now he's joining the Trump campaign. And I was considered for Department of Naval Intelligence when I got out of high school as a 3D world job. They weren't just going to abduct me and use me for free. They were going to pay me like hourly and like fly me out to the Area 51 and stuff. But I didn't get the job. Let's see. Yeah, I started YPX News and Super Soldier Forum. I interview people. If you want to be interviewed, you can contact me through my website or through my email, nateypxgray@me.com. Here's an example of a small gray. Let's see. Yep, I haven't seen one of these in a long time. I saw one as a kid in my yard. They use a light similar to the light that the Men in Black use, only it makes you pass out when you use it, when they use it. And your body turns to jelly. You can't open your eyes or anything. Then they abduct you and put you back. At least that's my understanding of what happened. I couldn't find a good image of a large gray. I don't remember encountering them. Then I made a video about the Draco reptilians and the reptoids and the plated reptilians and the indigenous reptilians that I got from a super soldier named Michael Spindler, who was also missing in action. I don't know what happened to him. But he was a reptilian himself. He said that at night, sometimes growing up, scales would form on his back and stuff. Here's a depiction of the Nordic aliens. What I learned from Jay Ridge, who's the guy who tried to recruit me to Department of Naval Intelligence, is that Nordic aliens, some of them can feel colors. They communicate telepathically, and there's a documentary about them that says they can speak and hear in frequencies that we can't. It's called like Walking with the Tall Whites or something. It's on Amazon TV. It's the original concept art for Nate Gray. This came out in like 95 or something, or 97, something like that, when I was like 7 years old. Yeah, I think it was 95. The reason his eyes are rolling back to his head in the concept art is because when I lifted things with my mind, my eyes would roll into the back of my head sometimes. I think I coined the term omega level mutant when I was a kid because there wasn't a term for a mutant above alpha level. Mr. Sinister is an example of an alpha level mutant. I don't know of any other good examples. Jean Grey would have been the first example of omega level, I believe. Okay, moving on. There's the slide I made about X-Men -1. There's the one I talked about with the vampire reflexes. There's the chart that says Nate Gray's abilities. The intelligence is a lot lower now than it used to be when I was a kid. I used to be real smart for my age. Now I guess I just have a 2. The strength increases if I use telekinesis to enhance the strength. I think I remember doing it once to break out of handcuffs when I was like 15. But that's another story. The speed, that's only when Morbus's abilities were bestowed on me. Energy projections, really high. It used to be a 6. Fighting skills is a 3. I was thinking about starting a martial art place, not really as the teacher, but to run it. If I can't get an IT job, maybe with Zender might be a good idea. There's Threnody. She kind of looks like a fitness model. There's Storm. She doesn't look very much like Halle Berry in person. She manipulates weather. She has white lines in her hair. Her hair is black, but with white lines in it. It's really weird looking. That's how you can tell her apart from other people. Other than that, she looks like everyone else. Um, yeah, I haven't spoken to her since like 2010 or so. Hard to believe that's like how long ago that is. Here's John Rath. He's the guy who teleports from Origins Wolverine. I haven't spoken to him since about then. No, it's
Where's the room 17?
oh, uh, it's a hospital, a Methodist hospital in Houston. Um, yeah, the floor I was on was for it was a special room for it had like mutants on it. It had ex NASA people, Department of Naval Intelligence. There was like a fighter pilot there who flew with Hank McCoy, like he flew with Beast on stealth planes. Um, yeah, it was mostly like retired people that had been in these government projects. Kind of like in the situation. I don't know if you saw um, Polaris from um, the Mutant Underground, but she was in a similar situation too. Um, there's Scott Summers. Yeah, he's Cable's father. I have a dreamlike memory of him, but it's not very clear. I think I encountered him when I was 18. I'm not sure how he closes his eyes with those beams coming out of them, but yeah, yeah. But yeah, John Rath was there. He survived his encounter with Sabretooth. He told me that the movie was what happened to him in the movie, like really happened to him. Did you ever see Origins Wolverine?
No.
Okay, yeah, it's worth checking out. Um, yeah, did you see the speech that Carrie Cassidy did at the Disclosure Conference?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Yeah, she talked about one of the X-Men movies. Um, but yeah, John Rath was interesting. He changed his phone number on me, though. I don't know if they intimidated him into not talking to me or what. I don't know why they.
You know who Jean Grey is?
Yeah. Genetically, she's my mother in a way. Uh,
Do you know where she is? Or like,
where she is?
Mhm.
Well, let's see. There's a depiction of her. I got a signed copy of her. I think that's her. Anyway, I've been told she's dead.
No, she's not dead.
I've been someone at the disclosure conference was claiming to be Jean Grey, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I interviewed her, but it's hard to know because there's so many clones of Jean Grey. Who was it?
Susan Long.
Yeah, Susan Long. Yeah, she had some relationship problems that aren't my business. Um, Yeah, so I don't know if I should talk about that. But yeah, she came to my my thing for a while anyway. Um, yeah, Susan Long was nice to me, but yeah, um, yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know how many Jean Greys there are. I don't know if you've read the comics or not, but each clone thinks they're the original. So, um, yeah, I don't know how to explain that.
That makes
Uh,
sense.
yeah. Um,
When you go back to X-Men 1, you never really explained them at all. I was really interested in that.
I mean, have you heard of Peter the Insider?
Yeah.
He said he's met 3 of my clones, but I've been told I'm the original, so that's what I think. X-Men 1, like the first comic I pulled out for you.
Yeah. You kind of just skipped over it. You didn't really explain it.
Okay. Um, yeah, let's see. X-Men 1.
Can you pull the slide back up too? If you could.
Yeah. Yeah, basically I was created um, by scientists, and they put mutant DNA in my mother's body. So I didn't come out of a test tube, and I didn't come out of Jean Grey's body. I came out of a human's body. So it covered up who I am, and that's why no one else in my family is gifted, as far as I know. And yeah, I come from a real interesting bloodline. So I'm only about like, I think they said, Jay said I was 60% related to Jean Grey, 40% related to my parents, or I was 40% related to Jean Grey, 60% related to my parents. I forgot. But yeah, so um, yeah. Um, I don't know what else you want to know about it.
That's it. It's fine. We can move on.
Okay. Yeah, there's Cable. He's kind of like a half brother or something. He's distantly related to me, sort of. And he's also a time traveler who's been in different timelines. And I vaguely remember other timelines, but I'm kind of scared to talk about them. They're a little bit disturbing, and I don't remember them that well. I was questioned about them and taken seriously about them when I was a kid. I remember that. And then I think my mind was wiped afterwards, which was weird.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, one involved Egyptian gods, the other one involved like um, NSDAP still being around, weird memories like that I can't prove. But I think you know a lot more about alternate timelines than I do.
Yeah, I remember quite a few of them.
Okay. And yeah, I thought this was a cool slide. Um, then Magneto. Storm told me he died in the 60s. I don't know if she was being honest or not. I've been told he lifted an anchor. I was asked as a kid if I could lift an anchor, and I couldn't do it. Um, Part of the reason they didn't let me in the X-Men is because when I was a kid, I said I sympathized with Magneto, and that really pissed Storm off. At that point, I think the professor was either dead or out of commission, and Storm was in charge. I think the X-Men have been disbanded. Now they're the Mutant Underground, is what Storm told me. And she wouldn't let me in the Underground either. Yeah, I don't think she ever forgave me for that. Because she couldn't control me, and she only wants people she can punish and control. So,
How much do you think the movies are accurate towards the real life version of events?
well, the cartoon depicting Storm sacrificing herself for Magneto is way off.
Okay.
Storm hates everything Magneto. So she would never jump in front of a bullet for Magneto. So when I saw that, I was like, holy crap. Storm's going to be pissed when she sees that they did that to her character in X-Men 97. But yeah, I mean, it's propaganda. So a lot of it's deliberately misleading. I mean, it shows me having relationship with Trinity that I didn't have. So it's not historical documents. It's propaganda.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're based off of. It's also soft disclosure, but you know, hmm. um, yeah, hmm. Yeah, yeah. There's Rogue. I heard not to make my character have her hair because people made fun of her hair and called her skunkhead because of her hair. That's what I remember about Rogue. I don't remember ever meeting her though. I've got conflicted memories about Hank. Um, I remember talking to him over the phone a long time ago, and he was really like arrogant about how smart he was and how he graduated high school at 15 and stuff like that and built stealth planes. Um, they said that physically seeing him might trigger me or be bad for me or something. They were scared I'd get scared of him if I saw him and it might activate one of my abilities or something. Um, Jean Grey, I was told her name was Jessica Simpson by Peter the Insider. That's just what he told me, and that she was gone. But don't want to piss off anyone else by saying that. Um, let's see. I did a slide on Bob Lazar. Do you know who he is?
Yeah.
Okay, he worked for DNI. J Ridge told me to research him. Um, um, because he was a real DNI scientist in the 80s. He reverse engineered the small gray spacecraft. His house was actually raided by authorities. If they wouldn't have raided his house if he wasn't really who he said he was, there would have been no point. This is the sport model craft. Witnessed one parked in my yard as a kid. Yeah, I haven't seen one of those in a while. I think the last time I saw one of those was while I was leaving the country club while the Bushes were there. I briefly saw a craft similar to that for like half a second. Don't remember what it was doing. But it was around the Bushes. Let's see. My throat's getting. I guess y'all could research Bob Lazar and he can explain to you how this thing operates. Basically, these three little things move around and it makes it move funny in its slow moving mode. This is the Hanabu. It was made by the NSDAP. It has 3 Mercedes-Benz engines, according to J Ridge. That's what he taught me. Those little circles at the bottom are Mercedes-Benz engines. As far as I know, it doesn't go into space. It's not like airtight or anything. I don't even think it has an air conditioner. How it flies is kind of beyond me. Are you familiar with Phil Snyder?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, he disclosed some stuff in the 90s and got assassinated over it. He was injured fighting aliens. He spoke about government projects. He was told he was Jewish his whole life, but his father on his deathbed told him that they were really Germans from Operation Paperclip.
Wow.
Yeah. And he encountered a whole slew of aliens and talked about the deep underground military bases. He knew a whole bunch of stuff, and they assassinated him and silenced him eventually because he was talking too much.
Pretty fast, actually, unfortunately, but he did make an impact, fortunately.
Yeah, it could happen to any of us, unfortunately. One of the risks of doing this is ending up like Phil Snyder. Okay. Underground dumbs. Yeah. Those are deep underground military bases. They're under the ground. They have monorail trains that go Mach 2. I had a forum member that went by Evie who'd been down there. J Ridge had been down there too. Yeah, J Ridge was a DNI recruiter I met. He died of cancer, I think, from radiation. He had a government clearance and he shared a bunch of information about it with me. Let's see. We played the simulation called Chrome Hounds. These things are similar to the Sentinels you see in the X-Men. They're some people call them ATVs or something. Some of them are more like tanks. Some have feet. Some have wheels. He was recruiting people to play the video game. Yeah, I mean, I've got a bunch of slides. Is there anything specifically you want me to talk about?
I guess more just like the Marvel character stuff.
Okay, I'll go back to Marvel characters. I'll skip over the aliens. Y'all can watch my conference speech if you want to know more about aliens. I vaguely remember Mr. Fantastic when I was a kid. I was very young. He took a Polaroid with me and his wife and told me I was the next generation. I wasn't allowed to have a copy of the Polaroid, but he's really weird. Like, he's like a rubber band. I don't know how it works, but he's all stretchy and stuff. And here's Sue, the Invisible Woman. She was a loving old woman, if I remember her correctly. And she can create a shield around her that feels warm and radioactive. And her abilities seem triggered by emotions. I think embarrassment turns her invisible. I forgot what causes the shield. She vaguely talked about the Thing and Human Torch. I didn't get to meet either of them. I think they were both deceased at the time. They were some of the original comic book characters were the Fantastic Four. I think Namor, Captain America, the Fantastic Four were some of the originals. Namor was around during the Second World War. He was part of the war effort. He has like little wings on his feet, and he would take care of the the NSDAP U-boats. And supposedly he lived over 100 years, and he went missing. And Sue wanted me to locate him. And I had no idea who they were talking about, and I'd never even seen the cartoon of him, which came out in the 60s, I guess. And I guess he went swimming one day and never came back, and they don't know what happened to him. But they wanted a telepath to locate him. And I don't know why they thought I would maybe know what happened to him. I don't know what happened to him. There's Psylocke. Psylocke's trippy. I think she's part of the Inner Circle, like the Hellfire Club. And I vaguely remember her when I was like 13 or 14, I think, something like that, middle school. And she can Psylocke you with her telepathic abilities. And supposedly she can like make you fall in love with her or something. She can appear to be a different girl that you do like if you don't like the way she looks, something like that. I don't think it worked on me very well. And a light radiates from her hand, and I think she can like cut stuff with that light. It's real hard to remember. I think she was testing me out to see if I was Inner Circle material or not. And she got frustrated with me because I wasn't taking my training seriously. Yeah, it was a weird experience. I remember her in my yard trying to train me to do what she was doing with her psychic katana or whatever. Yeah, I guess she didn't get along with me too well. There's Peter the Insider. There's Zinder. There's John Storm. He was a Generation 1 Ultra. There's Steffelbein. There's Quicksilver. He's a mutant. He's similar to Zinder. I decided to talk about him after seeing Zinder's speech. And I also draw some mutants for fun. The DC comics aren't as based off of real people as the Marvel ones are, is what I was taught by John Rath. But yeah, I used to be an artist. There's some more depictions of Nate Gray. This version of Nate Gray has a Jesus complex. But yeah, there's some iterations of Nate Gray. When I was 18, I used to wear a leather jacket all the time. I wasn't as fat, but I didn't have perfect abs either. Yep.
Looks like a Billy Idol version of Nate Gray, and then like a Jared Leto version of Nate Gray. It's kind of weird.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. I sold these paintings a long time ago. Huh. I think they were like $100 a painting. They weren't very expensive.
All right, well, Yeah.
Yeah, that's the newer Nate Gray X-Men Alpha.
Well, I guess that's the rest of your presentation. You can take it down if you want.
Okay. How do I do that?
Go to present.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Yeah, there's the newer ones. Look like this.
Do you find that the movies match reality pretty well, or is it kind of like the same thing with the comics, where the DC ones are a little less accurate and the Marvel ones are a little more accurate, or what do you think?
Well, Storm told me they didn't have as much control over the movies anymore because Fox bought Marvel or something, or Fox got the rights to them. I told her I wanted to be depicted in the next one, and there's a small cameo in Days of Future Past where it shows Nate Gray going through the rubble, and then a sentinel comes up behind him and is about to zap him. So Nate Gray had a small cameo in that movie. But yeah, I don't know how accurate Days of Future Past is because it was about an alternate timeline.
Right.
Yeah, it's an interesting one though. It's another depiction of Nate Gray.
Well, I think we kind of covered all the bases. I mean, I'd love to have you on the show again sometime or something like that. But kind of what I wanted to talk about was just how the X-Men relate to reality, and just kind of the fact that it's like real, but like you said, it's propaganda.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just something to look into, people. It's that aspect. And I really appreciate everybody who tuned into this. The people who are seeing it first, obviously, the people who support my Patreon. I can't thank you enough. And then, of course, this is going to be put on YouTube, so I appreciate you guys as well. Again, this has been the first episode of. This has been the first episode of. Who's that?
Oh, this is another depiction of Nate Gray.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to show before we go? Because I think I'm just going to kind of wrap it up.
Oh, right now I'm reading about ninjutsu. Thinking about starting a ninjutsu place.
That'd be good.
Yep. Yeah. I do a cheese sword too.
If you don't mind, I'm going to end this recording. Like I said, appreciate everybody tuning in. I'm going to provide the links so that people can check out YPX News and Nate Gray on Facebook if you're looking for him. And
supersoldierforum.com and Nate YPX Gray on YouTube.
All right, perfect. I'll make sure to link that in the description of this. I'm going to end the recording now.